was pondering in preparation for today, and I just sat down for a second and I wrote down the common themes of my therapy session last Saturday. 6 clients, and these are the things that we came across. I saw him, Satan, on the left, but I forgot to check for him on the right. I saw him in my marriage, but I didn't see him in my parenting. I can see he works on me, but I wasn't watching for him in my marriage. Same kind of themes, one session later. I thought my weaknesses are my weaknesses. I didn't know Satan, would exploit my strengths. How can he exploit strengths? My failures are so in my face. Why waste time hoping to succeed? I'm not the kind of guy that goes looking for ways I need to improve. And I've always been irrelevant. Why would I hope for anything I do would be meaningful now? From an outsider's perspective, can you see how fast we can see the satanic tricks for these people? How we can quickly go, oh my gosh, if you could just see this, if you could just hear that. And so the theme of today that I felt would be appropriate would be the mist of darkness thing. We warriors can be blind to the subtle strategies of Satan because of the mist of darkness. We can't see or hear what he is doing because it's so subtle. 1 Nephi 8:23, a mist of darkness, an exceedingly great mist of darkness. Just when you thought you saw all of it, there's probably more. Don't ever get arrogant, Maurice, and think you found all of it. They who had commenced in the path did lose their way. Have I commenced on the path? Yes. Is it possible for me to lose the way? Yes. Even though I would like to think I'm immune to it. It came to pass that I beheld others pressing forward, and they came forth, caught hold of the end of the iron rod. They did press forth through the mist of darkness, clinging to the iron rod, even until they did come forth. So this is going to be the hint on the solution. But let's read a little bit more about the mist of darkness from chapter 12. The mist of darkness are the temptations of the devil. So this tells us that Satan is very much involved. And might I expand temptations to the other 2 T's, the torments and the turmoil techniques, which blindeth the eyes and hardeneth the hearts of the children of men and leadeth them away into broad roads, and they perish. For years, my approach to this was very religiously scholastic. It's like, oh, that's so good for me to know about other people. It's good for me to know that other people sometimes don't see. So if they're not catching on, I need to be more patient with them. Christ taught us how to work with people who aren't seeing and aren't hearing. Of course, the concept didn't apply to me because I'm so smart. To be a little scarily vulnerable now, my marriage almost came to an end about 15 years ago. I thought everything was going fine. I came home one day to a woman who it was usually sweet and usually quiet and usually pleasant, and she unleashed on me. That was not her. And half of my brain was going, what's wrong with this woman? What's happened to her? Why is she so broken, etc., etc. The other half of me knows that she's not stupid, she's not crazy, so there had to be some legitimacy to it. And so I'm having this giant level 4 tug of war in my brain over what's going on. And I remember long walks with the question, what? I can't see what's going on here. I can't understand what's happening here. This doesn't make sense to me. And then someone introduced me to the parable of the dog whistle, where it started to make sense. And because I was really struggling with things that she was seeing, and it was easy for me to slide into Freudian psychology, which is if a woman says something that doesn't make sense, it's because she's hysterical. That's where the concept came from. Hysteria. Freud put everything that didn't make sense that women would do into one category. The modern translation of that is crazy chick syndrome. Brethren especially, this is a common one amongst the men that I work with. Watch out for that really subtle satanic technique of, there must be something wrong with her. She must not be seeing reality correctly. It's a very sneaky one, but it's common. The parable of the dog whistle is the representation that, scientifically speaking, one entity, one species can hear things that another one cannot. Another person can hear gaslighting where another one cannot. One person can hear and feel condescending where another one cannot. Having been raised as a middle child son of 9 boys in a Idaho farming family, the definition of being insensitive and aggressive had a much different threshold than the psychology appropriate for my wife. And so what I thought was fine with respect to being agitated, aggravated, annoyed, I mean, if I felt the same things in my family of origin, it would have been invisible because it wasn't loud enough for anyone to care about. No blood, no foul was a common philosophy in my home of origin. That does not work if I'm going to be the husband to the woman that I married. I have to be more sensitive than that. And so I can tell her she should just be more callous. Get over yourself, woman. Yeah, I tried that one. And it wasn't her that threw down on me. God took me for a walk and said, so you're trying to tell me my daughter should be more calloused? And I'm all, I can take that one back. We're cool, man. We don't need to go on this one any further. So the most important step is the acknowledgement of the possibility of things you don't see or hear yet. So hard-hearted psychologically means that can't be true about me. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but that can't be real for me. I see all of my weaknesses. I see all of my problems. Right. Let's talk about what to do about it. So start by looking in the rearview mirror, and instead of looking at it like right now, look over the last week, look over the last 24 hours, and find times when you were feeling, thinking, or behaving anywhere other than level 0 or in an edifying way. So if you want to right now, go ahead and write that down, like yesterday in the morning, 2 days ago at this time, because your brain will be tempted to only conceptualize like, that's a great idea, I should do that later. Go ahead and do that right now. So this is where we go back to the homework assignment we did a few weeks ago, where by now I hope you've started to practice. And if you stopped practicing because you already got it figured out, imagine a baseball player who says, coach, I stopped hitting the batting cages because I've got it figured out. I don't have to practice that anymore. This 0, 1, 2, 2, 1, 0, you should keep doing that if you really want to get good at this stuff. Think about when you were off, when your mood was off, your feelings were off, you were considering behaving outside of your value system. You may not have gone all the way to a 5 through 10, but you're like, I'm seriously thinking of raising my voice right now. I'm seriously thinking of blocking out my spouse for the next 4 hours. So go back to that moment in time when you've noticed you were off and look for what phrases, ideas, or comments you might have had that kind of tilted you out of balance. If you're a normal man, I'm not going to speak for women on this one, but if you're a normal man, you are going to be reluctant to do this because if you find it, it will be embarrassing. If you find it, you will feel stupid. You'll say, I can't believe I fell for that. I cannot believe I fell for that again. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the thing you don't want to look for. One of my secret weapons is what I call a burn journal. It's a piece of paper that you write these things down on and then light a match to it so no one ever will read it. Only you know about it. Okay. If it's that anxiety producing for you to see what you aren't seeing or hear what you aren't hearing, just plan on burning it after you write it down. Because I will promise you, if you're normal, you will want to burn. I was meeting with one fellow, and as we kept finding he had worked his whole life to be an uplifting personality, but what we found inside was layers of resentment towards his wife that he didn't want to see was getting root in his head. He was agitated with her, he was frustrated with her, he was annoyed with her, and he didn't want to notice it. So he would behave in a pleasant way on the outside, but he couldn't hide the frustration he was experiencing. Use that information to prepare for similar attacks in the future. By reflecting on past patterns, then discovering inspired ways to respond with greater skill and accuracy, we can plan and practice successful actions. If you've been in other meetings with me, the words reflect, discover, plan, and act are almost to the level of obsessive with me because they came from President Nilsson. Here in our office, we now just use the acronym DPAR. I'm going to